right. I love you guys. You're worthy. Have an amazing class.
Okay, you guys, I'm Valerie. It's good to see you again. I'm a volunteer educator at Pregnancy Aid Clinic, and I'm really happy to be with you again today. Today we're going to talk about setting goals. So if you want to make sure you have a paper and pencil near you, anything to write on, you're not going to have to send it in or share it with us, but this is for your own self to be thinking as you're writing. We're going to have some pause time so that we can all work on our own papers, thinking about our own goals. So if you want to make sure you grab your paper and something to write with. Okay, so I am going to share a PowerPoint. I'd like to open with a scripture verse from Jeremiah because it has to do with our setting goals and our making plans. It is from Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. So we're making plans for ourselves when we're setting goals, but you have to remember that God also has a plan for you. And God wants you to have a future and a hope. So, okay. Last class, we talked about the 10-10-10 process for decision making. So can you please share in your chat something you remember from the 10-10-10, and then if there was anybody who was not here to learn about what the 10-10-10 decision making is, if you were here, please try to tell them in your chat briefly what in the world are we talking about when we say 10-10-10 decision making. Okay, so taking decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years. Yes, so the 10-10-10 is thinking about, as you're trying to make a decision, how will that decision affect you in 10 minutes? Yes, it's a tool used to make the best decision. Good. Okay. How will the decision you're about to make, how will that affect your life in 10 minutes? How will it affect you in 10 months? And how will it affect you in 10 years? It's just a good way to check yourself when you're thinking and you're trying to make decisions. And so that you won't get lost in the short term when you're trying to make long-term decisions. You won't get lost in the long term and forget that it's going to also affect you in 10 minutes and in 10 months. And it really helps you think about what you're deciding. Yes, everybody, this is great. So we're going to take a part of that, the whole 10-10-10 decision-making idea. And this week we're going to apply it. You're going to apply it to your own lives again. And we're going to be applying it to setting goals, what goals you have for your life. So think about goals. What are we meaning when we talk about goals? And how can some goals be different from other goals? So you might have short-term goals. You might have longer-term goals. You might have little small goals, like you might have a list of things you want to get done today. Those are all goals. Or you might have much longer-term goals, like, someday I would like to retire in South Carolina. Or, someday I would like to have 4 children. Or someday I would like to go back to school and get a degree. So goals are different. Goals can be short-term, they can be long-term, they can be about little things. They don't have to be big, huge, dreamy goals. Sometimes you have little goals, like my goal today, my goal for tomorrow is to get up on time or to get up early and exercise before I start my day. So some goals are smaller. So let's think about now on your paper. Let's see. Come on. I'm going to try to make this PowerPoint go somewhere. Okay. So on your piece of paper that you have near you, if it's a notebook you have or the back of a piece of junk mail, whatever, write down, think about right now, write down 3 goals you have for yourself. One can be a short-term goal, so even just like for the rest of today or something this week. One can be a long-term goal, like maybe a year or months or a year or years in the future. And then the third one can be whatever time frame you want. So think about 3 goals you have for yourself and write them down on your paper. And then if you want to share any of your goals with us, you can put those in the chat also.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hey Desiree.
Hi. So one of my short-term goals would be for me to actually establish a very healthy diet and to not like all at once, but eliminate the bad things that I know that are in my diet little by little. So that's my short-term goal.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, that's an excellent example of a short-term goal. And so working on your diet little by little. I love, Desiree, how you said little by little, eliminating some of the things in your diet that you know are not good. And then thinking about the 10-10-10, you know, in 10 minutes, it affects you, it affects the next thing you put in your mouth. In 10 months, it might affect how healthy you feel in your body and how much energy you have. And in 10 years, it might affect how healthy you are lifelong. And, you know, even in 60 years, how long you live. So a diet is a great example of a short-term goal that can have effects long-term. It's also really good to talk about the little things at a time, like you mentioned, you know, maybe one thing at a time, eliminating from your diet. Okay, so we have, I want to spend more time on the Bible, and I want to work as a software engineer. That's great. So there's a short term and a long term, because you can pick up your Bible right after we hang up here, right after you leave the Zoom meeting. So that's a short term. And then working as a software engineer, depending on how much training you have so far, that could include going back to school. It could include looking for a job, and that's a good longer term one. Here's another one from the chat. Don't take any sugars for one day. That's a good short-term goal. You know, you feel like that's something I can do. I can do it for one day. And we're going to talk about setting goals that are measurable and something you can actually do. Okay, somebody who would like to go back to school and getting a skill for a better job, that's right, and something that's in demand, that's really good. I would like to open my own dance company. That's a long-term one. That's great. Ooh, and buying a house in the short term. Good for you, Antoinette. That is really exciting. And there's a lot of little short-term steps involved in getting ready to buy a house. You have to go to the bank and see if they will loan you money, and you have to look around for what kind of house you need, what kind of location you need, those kinds of things, you know, get a realtor. So there's lots of short-term things you have to do on the way to buying a house. Long-term goal, join my dream job. Yes. And so there again, because it's a long-term goal, you might be thinking about some of the short-term steps you need to get there, because nobody's going to get in their dream job without the little steps that happen all the way there. The dream job might be a 10-year goal, but then you need to make sure that in 10 minutes and in 10 months, you do things that are marching you towards that goal. Okay, you guys, these are great. These are great goals you're thinking about in your head. And so I was thinking, as some other examples, a short-term goal might be trying to get my toddler on a better schedule. That is something you could start tomorrow or even tonight with bedtime. A medium goal might be trying to eat healthier. A long-term goal the idea of going back to school or getting a different job. So these are great. These are exactly what I was thinking as well. When you're thinking about goals and you're setting goals, they are using the word SMART here to describe a SMART goal. And a SMART goal has these things in it. It is specific. That's where the S comes from. It is measurable. It is attainable, realistic, and time-based. Oh, losing the rest of my pregnancy weight, that's a good one too, because it doesn't just automatically fall off. That's a great one that I'll bet you everybody here can identify with. Okay, so the SMART goals being that your goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. So specific. Your goal should be straightforward and emphasize exactly what your goal is. It needs to be clearly defined and specific so that when you get there, you'll know you're there. So that when you have success, you'll know what success looks like. You can't have just some kind of goal that's like, I just want to be a healthier person. Because that, it's not specific enough so that when you get there, you won't know what success looks like. So for example, if you have a long-term goal, it should be specific, and then you can have many short-term goals that lead up to it. So in order to make your goal specific, you should think about the what, the why, and the how of it. So what are you going to do? Why is that important to you? And how are you going to do it? So for example, a few years ago, I decided to go back to school and get my master's degree. And I was in my 40s, and I had 4 kids, and I was thinking about going back to school. So I had this kind of goal somewhere in my head. Thinking about going back to school. But in order to make it specific, I had to say, okay, why am I going back to school? What do I want from it? What will I do with a degree once I have it? And how am I going to do it? I needed to think about the fact that the last time I was in school, the internet didn't even exist. I had to think about, I am a mom of 4 kids, and do I have time to go back to school? Am I academically still able to do school like I used to? I had to think about these things. How am I going to do it? And, how am I going to find the time? How am I going to find the money? Do I have the money to go back to school? So a specific goal needs to think about the what, the why, and the how, so that you can make your goal very specific and clear for yourself. So instead of saying, I just want to be healthier, a specific goal might just be, I'm going to walk 5 miles every day, or I want to lose 1 inch off my waistline, or I want to lose 5 pounds. So that makes it really specific. Here's a great example from Elizabeth. By 7 p.m. tonight, I will make dinner for my family tonight. That's a great one because she gave herself a timeline. And that's the T in SMART, is you tell yourself, I have to have this done by 7 p.m. Okay, LaQuandra, thank you. For her goal of losing the rest of the pregnancy weight, she knows she needs to be active and exercise every day. So if you have a day where it gets to be 4 or 5 o'clock and you've been sedentary all day, today I need to get my activity in. So that's great. Okay, the M. Okay, so this was about the S in SMART. Specific goals should be straightforward. They should emphasize what you want to happen. They should be specific and clear, and clearly defining for yourself the what, the why, and the how. Okay. So SMART goals, the M in SMART goals, the M is it should be measurable. Okay, this is great. Increasing my walking time to 1 hour. That's exactly what we're talking about. It should be measurable. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So you need to have a measurement for what success looks like. So for example, I want to lose 1 inch on my waistline, or I want to, um, get a job in my field, a specific job in one of these fields or something like that. It needs to be measurable. Um, there are usually short-term measurable things you can do to get towards it, like by 7 p.m. I will make dinner for tonight, or by 4 a.m. I will be at work and get off by noon. All right, patience. Increasing my walking time to 1 hour. That is measurable. I'm going to walk 1 hour every day. So that you guys are totally getting this, a measurable goal. That way you can see whether you're there or not. Example, if you say, I just want to learn more about childcare, it's better to say, I'm going to read 3 books about childcare before the baby is born. That's something measurable. Okay, the A in SMART stands for attainable. Okay, that means that this goal has to be something you can do. I can't say that I have the goal to single-handedly build a rocket ship and send it to Mars. That is not attainable for me. Not going to be able to do that. That would be a poorly written goal. Reduce my toddler's time on screen time. That's good, and it's measurable. You should make your measurements for yourself. So how much screen time are you going to let your toddler have each day by minutes or hours? So attainable, you got to figure out ways that you can make it come true. If it's something there's no way in the world you're ever going to make it come true, then that's not a goal. And it would be very hard to commit to doing it. If I said to myself, I'm going to build a rocket ship in my basement and send it to Mars, then this afternoon, I'm going to be like, I don't want to work on that rocket ship because it's not going to happen. It's not something that I feel like I can do. So if it's too far out of your reach, you probably won't commit to doing it. Also, it can't be too easy either, because if it's something you're practically already almost doing, then it's not a challenge for yourself. A goal is like a challenge that you set before yourself. If it's too easy or too hard, it's not going to make a lot of sense. So when I was thinking about going back to school, I was thinking, okay, is going back to school attainable for me right now? Is it something that I could do? And I thought, all right, my kids are older. I think that I have the time to do it. I was good in school before, even though the world is a different place now. I think I can do it. So I kind of made sure in my own head, yeah, this is something that is attainable for me. So yeah, for example, if you decide you're going to lose 20 pounds in the first week, that is just not going to happen. But if you say, I want to lose 1 pound in the first week, and then after that, you can say, okay, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to lose 1 more pound. Or, reducing your toddler's screen time. Okay, first I'm going to, take away the screen and make sure I have something appealing for the toddler to replace it with, so that we don't just have screaming tantrums, And then I'm going to start teaching a rhythm and a routine about, we always turn off the screens before lunch, or something like that, so that you can have it be attainable and specific little steps along the way. Okay. The R in SMART goal setting is for realistic. Note that this does not mean easy, but it means doable. And that's what we kind of talked about with attainable. Is it something you can attain? Is it something that you can do. Is it possible? And that way, you can also devise a plan on how to get there. So I love sweets, and I love sugar and chocolate and dessert. And so I'm not ever going to say to myself that I'm never eating sweets again. I couldn't live that way. So so that would be not realistic for me. That would be that's not doable. So instead I can say to myself, okay, I will have dessert after lunch, but not after dinner. And then when dinner comes, I can say, no, I will not have dessert after dinner. I am going to get it tomorrow again at lunchtime. Yay! So that if you completely deny yourself, that is too hard, and you'll just fall off. You should not make it too easy or too hard for yourself. If you make it a challenge, but a realistic challenge, then when you get there, you feel so satisfied with yourself. You seem so pleased with yourself that you think, ooh, now I want to do the next step. I feel the success, and I want to do the next step. So if you keep giving yourself little goals that you can reach, then you feel that success and you're pleased with yourself, and then you're ready for the next goal. Okay, and the T in SMART is, everybody's agreeing with me on the sugar rush candy, sweetheart. Okay, the T in SMART is timely. You need to give yourself a time frame. So we talked about it being measurable, like 1 pound or 2 hours of screen time or 1 dessert after meals. But then you also need to give yourself a time frame. So, by the end of today, like a lot of people said, by 7 p.m. I'm going to do this, or by 4 a.m. or, so a time frame is very helpful. Or you can say, in 1 week, I want to lose 1 pound. Or in the next 3 months, I will have done this. Or some of the time frames may need to be longer. By next April, I will do something. So when I was thinking about going back to school, it was kind of a longer time frame, because I learned that there's an application process which took place, I don't know, like 8 months before the school year begins. You have to apply by then. And before the application process, I backed it up. There was a test I had to take. And before taking that test, I knew I had to study for that test. And so I backed it up some more. So I knew that I had to meet these deadlines. If I missed a deadline, then I was going to be pushing back my whole going back to school thing for a whole year if I missed the deadlines. So it's really helpful to give yourself times by which you have to have done each step in your goal. If you don't set times, it's just too vague. If you just say, I think I want to go back to school, you're not going to get there, because you have to have measurable things along the way that are due at a certain time. Give yourself a due date. And when you talk about your time frame, even your time frame should be measurable and attainable and realistic. So I can't say, I want to have a perfectly healthy body by next Tuesday. First of all, that's not attainable or realistic, and it's also not really measurable. What do I mean by a perfectly healthy body? How could I possibly get there by next Tuesday? But I can say, okay, by next Tuesday, I want to, tell myself I'm only going to have 1 dessert a day between now and Tuesday. And then starting on Tuesday, I'm going to say I'm going to start walking 4 times a week, at least an hour, things like that. Okay, so this SMART is to help you set good goals. They should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. They should have time stamps on them. Okay, so now let's think about the 10-10-10 again. So now you've thought about some of your goals, and you've made sure that your goals are realistic and measurable and timely. So now you need to think about, how am I going to get there? And so this is where the 10-10-10 comes in. So let's practice on your piece of paper. Think about this. Think about one of your goals. And so if I want to reach that goal, whichever one it is, what do I need to do in the next 10 minutes? Well, okay, 10 minutes after we're done with the Zoom call, or 10 minutes after you get home today from work, whatever. So what do you need to do in the first 10 minutes to reach your goal? So that's your first question to write down on your paper. When I was thinking about going back to school, I said, if I want to reach the goal of going back to school, what do I need to do in the first 10 minutes? Well, I decided that I needed to email one of the professors at the school I was looking at and just make an appointment to talk to her. And I even told myself, because I was a little bit afraid, and so I told myself, I'm just talking to her. I'm not making any commitment. I just want more information. So I was able to push myself to write that first email, because I was just like, it's just an email. It's just an appointment. It's just sitting down to talk, you know? And so little steps, little baby steps helped me. So that 10-minute thing was, I'm never going to get an appointment with this woman and learn more about the process if I don't send the stupid email. So first 10 minutes, send the email. That's what it was for me. So if you want to share in the chat after you're done writing for yourself, what thing you can do in 10 minutes to help get yourself closer to your goal, you can share that. Okay, that's good. In the first 10 minutes, if I'm trying to cut out sugars, I can check what are other things I can eat during the day. When I get that mood and I'm looking for sugar, if you've already planned out ahead of time, next time I'm looking for sugar, I will eat this instead. I'll have nuts and cheese, or I'll have an apple or a peach or something. If you have it in your mind what you'll eat the next time you want a sugar, and if you have it in the house, if you have something that you can reach for easily, that's great. And that's something you can take care of in the first 10 minutes, especially the planning for it. Yes, researching costs and programs. So the first thing you need to do is get your information. Prepping food before you're hungry. Desiree, that's a really good idea. Prepping the food before you get hungry means you're more likely to eat healthier meals. A raging person without sugar. That's like those Snickers ads. What is it called? Hangry. I become a raging hangry person without sugar. So Antoinette, Desiree's idea of prepping before you're hungry is a good idea. Is plan ahead of time. What am I going to have? Where is it? And can I grab it when I get hungry? Okay, so a good short time goal for Elizabeth is, today I'm going to finish the laundry. So the first 10 minutes, I can spend the 10 minutes get going folding the laundry. I eat food. The processed sugar I crave. Me too. Me too. Okay, so this is good. Thinking about the first 10 minutes, what can you do to get started on your goal? All right, the next thing we're going to think about, and you can write down on your own papers, is then what do I need to do in the next 10 months to reach my goal or get closer to my goal? If this is a really long-term goal, you might only be going closer in the next 10 minutes. So in the next 10 months, what can I do to make steps towards my goal? So when I was thinking about going back to school, my 10-month plan, my 10-minute plan was just email the lady. My 10-month plan was, okay, I need to study and take the GRE test. And then I had, I knew what what days the GRE was offered between now and 10 months from now. I had to find that out. I had to learn what are the requirements for application, and I needed to make sure that I was going to be able to pay for it. So my 10-month goals, I had a few of them when I was going back to school. Study and take the exam, learn what the requirements were going to be for the application, and then figure out if there's going to be a way I can pay for the school. So when you have your longer term goals, what kind of things can you do in 10 months? Filling out applications, figuring out how you're going to pay for it. That's like what I was doing. Research about schools and requirements, apply and fulfill the requirements to be ready to start school. So that's a lot of stuff to do in the next 10 months. So I would suggest also for that, back it up a little bit and give yourself little goals to reach on the way there. So if you incorporate exercise in your week and establish a routine, I don't know if you guys are seeing the chats that I'm seeing, so I'm just repeating a lot of everybody's chats. So yeah, if you're trying to be healthier and eat healthier and be more active, you know, there's something you can do in the next 10 minutes, but in the next 10 months, incorporating exercise into your week, every week, and establishing it as more of a routine so that 10 months from now, it'll be just a norm in your life. It's something that you always do. Like, you know, I always get up 15 minutes early and do a quick workout, or now I always go walking, you know, just before sunset, or whatever you start to do now every 10 minutes, you know, in your 10-minute thought process. In 10 months, those things can be really part of your regular routine. All right, and then the last part is what will be the impact of reaching my goal in the next 10 years? So think about, you know, why. This is part of the why. Why do you have this as your goal? What's going to be the impact on your life long term in 10 years? So for me, when I was thinking about going back to school, I was thinking, you know, I might have a new career that, you know, will be much more interesting to me or exciting, or might make me more money, or, you know, I feel like it will more fulfill God's plan for me. So what will be the impact of reaching it in 10 years? Okay, so every month and year, I will check to improve my skills for reaching my dream job. Yes. So that's good. And if you do that for every month, and in 10 months, you will be that much farther. And then in 10 years, hopefully you have reached your dream job. So then you can also use this 10-10-10 process and the SMART process. So the SMART process for writing your goals, planning your goals, and the 10-10-10 thought process of, you know, how you're going to set the steps along the way, 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years. You can use these for your other goals too. If you, at the beginning, we talked about a short-term goal, a long-term goal, and one in between, or another one short or long, it didn't matter. So if you have several goals, then you can use the same process to think about your other goals. You know, maybe you have a goal for the motherhood part of your life. Maybe you have a goal for the working person or school going person in your life that you are. Maybe you have a goal for your own health. Maybe you have a goal for your own mental health, or a goal for your living situation, a goal for your relationships. So you can use this SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, for all of your goal writing. And it really helps if you write it down and then keep that piece of paper so that you can go back to it and remember, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this. And the reason I'm trying to do this is because in 10 years, it will impact my life. And here are some of my ideas on how to get there along the way and when I need to do those things. So keep that piece of paper. And then also the 10-10-10. What do I need to do in 10 minutes that will get me closer? What do I need to do within the next 10 months that will get me closer to my job or to my goal? And then how will that impact me in 10 years? Okay. This is a good website to go to if you want to on your own time, mynextmove.org. And they have a little test there, and it helps you look at what career might be well suited for what type of person you are. So if you're thinking about if your goals have anything to do with going back to school or getting a different job or getting retrained or any of that, this mynextmove.org is a good one to go start with. It asks you, I think, 60 questions just about your interests and abilities and you know, what you're good at, what you like doing, and then it will help you kind of pinpoint areas that you might want to be looking at. So that's helpful. The other thing you can do if you feel like you have, like, I have so many goals, I can't even, there's too many. You need to maybe prioritize your goals and just think about maybe the top 2 right now, or the top 3 if one of them's kind of smaller or short term. If you feel like there's so many goals, I want to fix this and fix this and fix this and fix this, we can't do that. That's overwhelming. So maybe prioritize your top goal or 2. So the other thought is, today is Monday. So you should tell yourself, what am I going to do before the end of today? And what am I going to do by the end of this week to get going on these goals? One of the things you might say just for today, okay, by the end of today, I'm going to write my goals, because we did it kind of quickly here and you didn't have enough time to really just sit in quiet and think about it. But so might be a good goal today to just write your goals using the SMART and using the 10-10-10, and then prioritize your goal. If you have a whole bunch of goals you're thinking of, you know, I'm going to get my toddler off screen time, and I'm going to start eating better, I'm going to stop with the sugars, I'm going to start getting active, I'm going to exercise more, and I'm going to look about going back to school, and I want, you know, there's a lot of things that we're all thinking about. So think about your top ones. Antoinette says her top 2 goals right now, parenting and learning how to relax. Those are really good. So in the parenting one, you probably need to divide that up. What aspect of parenting? You know, how I feed my kids. You know, what food am I feeding my kids is one part. Do I have a good routine for them? A sleeping, eating, waking, playing routine for them? Whether screen time is an issue in your family or not. How well you respond to your kids and whether you're nice, for lack of a better word. Learning how to relax is an important piece of being a good parent. So if you're taking care of yourself and your own mental health, and learn how to relax a little bit will help a lot in the parenting as well. Here's a long-term goal: raise up my kids in discipline and as humble persons. That's really good long-term goal. So now we need to back it up. Does anybody have any suggestions for her? What specific goals can we come up with to raise your kids with discipline and to be humble people? We need to come up with more specific goals. So if anybody has any help they want to give her for more specific goals for having disciplined and humble children, that would be great. Routine, Antoinette, routine is so important for kids. Control my toddler food time without screen time. Raising a baby and a toddler at the same time without parents to help. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. When you have a toddler and a baby, it's exhausting, but you can do it. Here's a good chat that's a good suggestion, reading them stories from the Bible for getting disciplined, humble children, reading the Bible to them. Getting a good children's Bible with lots of colorful pictures is really good. Daily routine, and learning to be appreciative, saying thank you, yes. That's really good. Stick to your answer, yes, especially with children. In order to have a disciplined child, stick to your answer. No means no. My kids heard that a lot. No means no. And so we're not going to have a lot of negotiating. Spending more time with them helps a lot, yes, because you need to have that balance of discipline and good, lovey, warm times with them. So when you can spend time with them, it's good to have that time. Praying every morning with the family, that gets you really off on a good start in the day. If you pray with the family, that's really good. As long as you don't fall into this trap that I noticed our family was doing for a while, we would pray before dinner. And sometimes we would pray things like, oh, like, oh, dear Lord, help Johnny to do his algebra homework, or, something like that. That wasn't a prayer. That was me telling the kids what I wanted them to do. So make sure you're careful that your prayers are really prayers and not you using a prayer situation to tell the kids what you want them to do. All right. So that is all I have for goal setting. I'm really enjoying all the chats, and you guys can keep it going for as long as you want, because the best thing that we have when we meet in the classroom is you guys talking to each other to help each other with good ideas and good plans and good thoughts and support. So Patience says showing them more love, showing them good examples. Yes. So showing them a lot of love, and then also leading by example. They watch what you're doing, they hear what you're saying, even when they're in the next room and you're on the phone, So showing them love and being a good example. Do you have any questions about goal setting or even your specific goals? Do you have any questions for each other to say, look, here's one of my big goals, but I don't know how to break it up? Any questions for each other? All right, well, I want to thank you guys all. I hope that this was a good start for you. And I think that Courtney will send you a reminder with the SMART on it. So in case you need to remember that, what everything stands for when you're making your goals, and the 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years thing.
Yep, I sure will.
So one person said, how to make my toddler listen to my words. And I don't know if that went to everybody, but that is a good question. And here's what I do with toddlers. I get down on my knees so that I'm eye to eye with them, and I make sure they're looking at my eyes, and I very often hold their two little hands so that we're really looking at each other. And then with a toddler, you only want to use a very few words. Sometimes I've even heard one word for each year old they are. So a 1-year-old gets no, and a 2-year-old gets no biting or whatever. I mean, I think you can go a little bit more than that, but just remember not very many words, and make sure they're looking at you. And you don't have to explain yourself in long explanations. They just need to know, here's the rule. And you might say, if you want to say no hitting, and you may say, because that hurts him, but that's all he needs.